Good afternoon, everyone. This is Mike Brennan here at the National Hurricane Center. It's around 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Monday, August 12th, coming on with an update on what is now Tropical Storm Ernesto, the area of low pressure we've been monitoring for the last several days and began advisories on earlier today, has now developed a well-defined surface circulation, which you can see here in satellite imagery. The shower and thunderstorm activities become a lot better organized during the day today, and the data from the Air Force Reserve Hurricane Hunter aircraft have indicated that we now have a tropical storm with maximum sustained winds of about 40 miles per hour. The big news with Ernesto is that it's moving rapidly westward toward the west-northwest now at about 28 miles per hour. So it's going to move very quickly toward and through the northern Leeward Islands as we go through tonight and Tuesday, and then move near or over portions of the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico before turning northward across the western Atlantic. So let's break down the update on the system for you. Here's the latest track forecast. We're expecting, again, that fast west-northwestward motion that's going to bring the center of Ernesto through the northern Leeward Islands tonight and Tuesday, and then a slowdown in the forward speed and a turn toward the north that's going to bring the center of Ernesto near or over Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands Tuesday night into Wednesday morning, and then a more northward track at a slower forward speed across the western Atlantic. We are expecting Ernesto to slowly strengthen during the next day or two, and then strengthen more quickly as it enters a more favorable environment to the north of Puerto Rico, and should become a hurricane by the time we get to Wednesday night or Thursday, and then a northward to northeastward motion that will take Ernesto in the vicinity of Bermuda by the time we get to Saturday. So interest there. Will certainly want to keep an eye on the system. But let's break it down in the shorter range first. The arrival time of those tropical storm force winds in the northern Leeward Islands is going to be in the early morning hours to the morning hours on Tuesday, then moving into the Virgin Islands as we get into Tuesday evening, and Puerto Rico Tuesday evening to Tuesday night. Any potential impacts downstream in Bermuda in terms of winds would likely begin during the day on Friday. But the big impact from Ernesto is going to be the rainfall, and that's typically the deadliest hazard associated with tropical storms and hurricanes throughout much of the Caribbean. Right now, we're expecting 4 to 6 inches of rainfall, total rainfall accumulations across portions of the Leeward Islands and the Virgin Islands. Across Puerto Rico, we're expecting 3 to 6 inch amounts over a widespread area, with isolated amounts as high as 10 inches, especially along the southern and southeastern portion of the island. Again, remember that track of Ernesto's center is going to slow down and turn northward. It's going to result in a prolonged period of heavy rainfall over Puerto Rico in particular. And we do have flash flood watches in effect for Puerto Rico, Culebra, Vieques, St. Thomas, St. John, and St. Croix in the U.S. Virgin Islands. So expecting, again, the potential for some very significant rainfall impacts there, landslides, and considerable risk of flash flooding in those areas. In terms of storm surge, we're expecting 1 to 3 feet of inundation above ground level in portions of the U.S. Virgin Islands, Culebra, Vieques, and sort of the eastern third of the island of Puerto Rico, east of Guayama on the south coast, and east of San Juan on the north coast. So to summarize the key takeaways here with Ernesto on this Monday afternoon, Ernesto is expected to bring tropical storm conditions to portions of the Leeward Islands and to the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico tomorrow and tomorrow night, extending into Wednesday, where we have tropical storm warnings in effect for islands like Guadeloupe, St. Kitts, Nevis, and Antigua, Barbuda, Anguilla, St. Martin, St. Bartholomew, the British Virgin Islands, the U.S. Virgin Islands, and Puerto Rico. But again, the biggest threat is going to be the heavy rainfall, which could result in locally considerable flash flooding and mudslides in areas of the Leeward and Virgin Islands, beginning basically from now through Wednesday, and in Puerto Rico from late Tuesday into Thursday. And then farther downstream, it's too early to know what sort of impacts there might be in Bermuda or what the timing might be, but interest there should monitor the progress of Ernesto all the way through the week, as we could see some impacts there later this week or this upcoming weekend. Just a reminder too, we have all of our public products on the National Hurricane Center website for Ernesto are available in Spanish. Here are the key messages in Spanish. You can find our public advisory, the tropical cyclone discussion, any tropical cyclone updates. You can find all that information at Hurricanes.gov. So just to wrap up, the key points again here with Ernesto is just formed. It's going to bring impacts to the Leeward Islands, Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands over the next 48 hours, potentially long-term effects on Bermuda as we get later into the week. Keep coming back to the National Hurricane Center for updates at Hurricanes.gov. For folks in Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands, you can find information from your local National Weather Service office at weather.gov, and we'll be back with you throughout the week with updates on Ernesto. Thanks for joining us. I'm Mike Brennan at the National Hurricane Center.